So we were talking about Beast Wars as a podcast about two comedians rewatching the 1990s TV series Beast Wars Transformers. Although we are discussing a children's television show, the podcast itself is not intended for children.
Hey, this is Phil, and I expected to see Andy, but hey, Apetimus, how you doing there, buddy?
Hey there, Phil. Andy's just finishing settling in and a couple of final things. I don't know if you heard, he just moved into a new house, and I'm here because I was helping him out with that.
Oh, is that right? Oh, well, I mean, you would be the top ape for me if I needed help moving anything.
Well, man, you're not joking. You seen that guy's arms? Between you and me, I think calling them noodly would be a bit too kind. So, yeah, he really needed some help from a strong guy like me.
He did flex the cybernetic arm, and I just have to say, damn.
Yeah, well, I know I eat a lot of bananas, but I also really down those protein shakes too. Protein is very good for cybernetic arms.
Did it help you to move stuff around the house? What are the types of things that you moved that Andy couldn't?
Ooh, man, I mean, you name it. Couch, me. Bed, also me. A couple hours into it, he was just needing me to drag him around too. So I kind of took care of everything.
Wow, did you drag him fireman style, or did you just carry him around caveman style?
You know, look at me, I'm an ape. So I did it ape style. I slung him over one shoulder, and I swung from vine to vine from his old house to here.
Oh, wow. Did Andy move into a treehouse?
No, that's just one of the requirements I have to help somebody move is I string up a series of vines between the two locations first.
Oh, I see. Yeah, some people will hoist furniture in through the window of the second floor or take a door off its hinges. The thing you need is vines everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to tell you how to live your life. Other than, all those times I'm very comfortable telling you how to live your life. But if you're handling a house move without a complex network of vines, I just don't know what to tell you.
That's interesting. No wonder you're so jacked and your arms always stay like in pristine tightness every day. Do you think Andy might want to get on those vines sometime?
Let me install those rubber mats you put at playgrounds so that little baby children don't injure themselves.
Oh my goodness. I'm really glad he's not here to listen to that, because that is one sick burn, Apetimus.
Yeah, oh, hold on, I think I hear him coming. Just be cool, all right?
You got it.
Oh, hey guys. Oh, Apetimus, thanks for keeping Phil company while I took care of a couple stuff. Phil, I don't know if Apetimus told you, I just moved into a new house. It's pretty nice. Apetimus was a great help.
Oh, yeah, he did tell us. And I heard there were some unusual new fixtures up all over the place.
Yeah, we've got one lamp that the previous owner installed that looks like a vulva. So we were talking about Beast Wars!
We were talking about Beast Wars. I'm Phil Thomas.
I'm Andy Hunter. Thank you for joining us. As Apetimus may have explained, I was just moving to a new house, so please accept that as our latest excuse for the delay between episodes. But now we're back on track with an epic two-parter, The Trigger.
That's right. Even though it's been a little bit of a vacation for both of us, we left our listeners with an extra long episode, and now we're coming back with a two-parter. Isn't that right, Andy?
Yeah, last episode, we said, I guess, pretty much all that anyone could say about the spark. We talked at length about it. Airazor does reappear in these episodes. We talked last episode about how, is it a battle inconsistency that Airazor just totally demolished Pterosaur within seconds? I was like, well, no, it won't be an inconsistency until she fails to do that next episode. And here we are. Airazor's power level has been reduced to match everybody else. We'll get to that.
Absolutely. You really did call that, and it was tough watching Airazor get brutalized here and there.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any character who just consistently comports themselves well all the time. Like every character seems to have gotten themselves in some kind of embarrassing combat jam at some point or other. Like even Optimus he's got his like moments where he just tears through the entire Predacon base when he's all juiced up. But then he's also got moments where he's like, Cheetor, cover me. Oh no, I've been shot immediately. So
yeah, I think there's a moment like that in one of these two parts. So can't wait to recall this when we get there.
yeah. So we're talking about episodes 16 and 17. They're parts 1 and 2 of The Trigger. Both of them are written by co-series head Bob Forward. We begin with a scene of some wintry mountains. It's very still and peaceful, but then they rumble as a black cloud passes overhead. Phil, did you ever see the movie Nope?
No, I didn't. Was it good?
It is good. Yeah, there's an ominous alien-related cloud in that movie. So this cloud kind of reminded me of... But then very different things happen in the rest of the episode versus that movie.
Well, the island tries to kill everybody in Beast Wars. Does the island try to kill everybody in Nope?
Well, I guess. I mean, it's not an island, but yes. Yeah, it does try to kill everybody.
Okay, all right. So maybe Jordan Peele was inspired by this two-parter of Beast Wars.
So Tigatron is getting ready for his weekly report to the Maximal base. In just last episode, when Cheetor calls Tigatron and then asks Tigatron to relay info to the Maximal base, I was like, oh, that's cool that they're relaying to each other, but why don't they have actual physical relays set up? And in this episode, we do have at least one actual relay set up. That like laser line of sight contact, the same actual communication technique they had used to contact Tigatron's own stasis pod.
Oh, that's a very good callback. I did not remember that. I did realize that they were filling a plot hole that we had identified earlier with this comms link. I will say, when I saw him at it, the sense that I got is the Maximals are really struggling when it comes to their comm stuff. They've got to like bounce stuff off the moon, and there's like an apple pie dish that's like set up somewhere that they can use, and there's just all sorts of DIY stuff that they do to try to bounce a laser back to the base, whereas the Predacons just seem to have no problems whatsoever. They just have way more sophisticated comms, I guess.
I guess, yeah. Some of that might just be because we see the Maximals more. Like, yes, granted, Predacons always show up when and where they need to be, but we don't know what they've had to do to get that in place. Is it just because they're... everything in this show seems to be within running distance of everything else, so it's very hard to tell how much distance these communications have to cover. Tigatron is somewhere up in the frozen north, but is that the North Pole or is that just Colorado?
So that's a good point. And to your point about the comms, the rest of the Predacons don't know what happened until the Flyers return to base and relay to Megatron what happened.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
So Tigatron has his weekly report, which at first I thought, oh, that makes sense. He's a remote scout, that he would have regular check-ins. But then I figured, I feel like a week is way too infrequent because a lot can happen in a week. What if Waspinator and Pterosaur had attacked 10 minutes later when Tigatron was done with this check-in? Then it would have been a whole week before the Maximals knew that something was up with Tigatron. I would have expected maybe a daily check-in or something.
It's funny. This is the same argument people make about the Olympics, that it should be more frequent. Because in the span of 7 years, you might only have the Olympics once. And if a premier athlete has an injury for that Olympics, you might just miss their entire career.
Yeah.
So, like, if they had the Olympics every 3 years, that might make more sense.
As listeners may remember, between the two of us, Phil is the one who knows about sports. I'm the one who knows about Star Trek. And together, that's the sum of all necessary human knowledge. So we've got it all covered.
That's right. Andy's got the Star Trek hemisphere. I've got the sports hemisphere.
Yeah. The two things that make life complete. So Tigatron is checking in. Before we actually start that conversation, Rhinox and Optimus are discussing a tidal analysis that Rhinox has been doing. Rhinox is basically saying, I don't know, it seems like the tides are more or less acting as if there's only one moon, and this other moon doesn't seem like it's dense enough. And then like, oh, okay, we're drawing our own conclusion. But then, nope, never mind. They actually straight up show a diagram of the other moon being hollow, and then Rhinox says, it's almost like it's hollow. So it's the kids' show version of foreshadowing, I guess we could say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some more subtle foreshadowing that happens in these episodes, but I'll wait till those moments to get into it.
Yeah, they don't follow up on the hollow moon in these episodes, but it does make us wonder what's going on with the second moon. We've all along been calling this a mysterious two-mooned planet, but maybe it's a mysterious one-mooned planet? So Tigatron calls in, Rat Trap greets him with "What's new, pussycat?" which just last episode in the Spark, the dream version of Rhinox addressed Cheetor that way, as we went into last episode. That's a song, and it's from a movie. He also calls him Stripes and Stripey. I thought that was kind of cute. Our son has a stuffed toy tiger named Stripey.
No,
I was reminded of that.
that's cute.
But anyway, Pterosaur and Waspinator attack Tigatron in the middle of this call. Or actually, really at the beginning of this call. He says, everything's cool up here. Wait, never mind, I'm being attacked.
Yeah, that was just right on top of each other.
Yeah. We get a bullet train moment of him diving in slow motion away from a small explosion. And then the relay device collapses. It falls over on him in a way that I think TV often has this problem of it always looks like somebody has plenty of time to just roll out of the way, but instead they just like lay there going, ah!
Which he does. And then, oh my god, he's dead!
Yeah, the episode definitely plays it for a second as if he's been killed before then he pushes it off himself. It seems like for a second Waspinator and Pterosaur do believe that they've killed him, which if I were them, I would be like, well, hey, heavy rocks have been dropped on us hundreds of times and we're not dead, so clearly Tigatron must be fine too, right?
They never learn.
Yeah. During the fight, one thing I noted was I thought there was a kind of a neat zoom in shot that kind of tracked along Tigatron's gun as we like zoom in on his eye as he's aiming at Pterosaur. I thought that would have been even better if it were immediately followed up on by him doing like a perfect shot and taking one of them out or something. But instead, it's all set up and then no payoff, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a series of anticlimactic things that happen there. One is, Tigatron doesn't die at a point where they clearly telegraph that he might have died just then. And my fiance commented during that whole fight, man, Tigatron is a bad shot.
Yeah.
He just stinks. For being a Transformer out on his own, you'd hope he'd be a better shot.
Yeah, and it's one thing when they're like zipping around. Okay, sure, it's hard to hit a flyer in those contexts. But when Pterosaur is flying straight at him, it's a head-on shot. Like, yeah, I was really expecting Tigatron to do something awesome and impressive in that moment. Then Pterosaur shoots a shoulder missile that's basically a straight-up bullet bill. Like, it's got a face painted on it, which I think is meant to evoke his own pterodactyl beast mode, but it really reminded me of a bullet bill from Mario instead.
For some reason, I thought that was to try to telegraph the incompetence of Pterosaur. That's what you do to a bomb that is super big. You paint something on it because you've been really saving this for a special occasion. But it's a dud because Pterosaur made it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you said, it is a dud, and that's played for comedy, but also like just for a second. And then Waspinator is shooting and one of his shots hits that missile and then it does explode. Back at the Axelon, Optimus flies off to rescue Tigatron and he goes through a panel in the ceiling that opens up. But before that opens, we just see him like getting his jets ready to take off. And I was really thinking he was just gonna bust through the roof like he did in Guerrilla Warfare and just shouting, "I'm bananas for fighting!" all over again.
So that's at the point where they've already had the conversation about Tigatron?
Well, they know that he's under attack because, yeah, he's called in and then immediately said, "Oh, I'm under attack," and then they've lost contact with him. So then Optimus is like, I better go out there.
Got it.
We get back to Tigatron following the explosion of that missile. There's kind of been a landslide, and he is dangling precariously. So another Beast Wars bingo moment is checked off. Then he falls down into the passing dark cloud. And initially, Waspinator and Pterosaur again interpret this as a death fall, but at least they do have the sense to look for body parts, which they don't find. They fly up into the cloud, and then we see some zaps. And then we don't see them again for a little bit until we see them basically kind of limping back to the Predacon base. Airazor we see posted up spying on the Predacon base, which we will follow up on in a bit. I did think it was funny that we've graduated from flying mountains to entire flying islands now.
I do have some questions at the end about how exactly this thing flies. Because they got into the dynamics of the flying island earlier, and then I have no idea what's powering this.
Oh, yeah, with the mountain, they were like, that much unstable energon. Just something made it fly. And this, alien technology. I guess that's all you need to know.
There's a really big lithium battery somewhere in there.
Yeah. Optimus reaches the scene of the fight. He says there's no sign of Tigatron. We need to face the possibility that he's been destroyed.
Oh my god, he's dead!
Yes. But the episode actually doesn't force us to dwell on that suspense for very long, because then we see Waspinator and Pterosaur relaying to Megatron the story of what happened when they flew into that cloud, which was that there's a flying island in the cloud, and Tigatron's there, and he's fine, and they shot at each other, and then a big monument on the island zapped them. Megatron immediately is like, all right, cool, let's claim the power of that island for ourselves. Black Arachnia points out that maybe it would be wise to figure out where the mountain came from and who made it before they take it over. Megatron shuts her down, orders her and Scorponok to investigate it, and while whispering some secret instructions to Scorponok, which Black Arachnia is aware of that whispering going on. So it's interesting, because in this moment I was like, all right, Black Arachnia is showing a degree of caution. Hey, here's a mysterious, powerful thing before we try to take it for ourselves. Maybe we should learn more about it. But then later on, when she gets there, she just takes it over.
That's interesting. For some reason, I filled in around that whole plot hole. Should I spoil some future episodes? Can we talk about things that happen in future episodes?
Yeah, this is a rewatch.
So I thought that since Tarantulas is some sort of operative, that he has access to knowledge and dossiers that everybody else doesn't. And he might have some background information on these aliens. And because of Black Arachnia's relationship with Tarantulas, she has access to some of that information. I don't know why I jumped to all of those conclusions, but I just kind of did.
Yeah, it could be. I don't have super clear memories of the full deal of... I vaguely remember Tarantulas was secretly there all along to mess with the aliens or something. But I don't really remember any of the specifics. So when we get up to those episodes, I will be very curious to find out.
Yeah, let's see, like, if on one of the screens in the background, Tarantulas is looking at a file of a flying island or something.
Yeah. So Airazor has now gone to the Axelon to relay Waspinator and Pterosaur having shown up in such a beat-up state, which the other Maximals recognize that Tigatron wouldn't have done that he would defend himself but not set out to just straight up destroy them.
Also, I think this scene establishes that Airazor is now the premier scout. They sent her to the Predacon base to observe what's going on and not Cheetor.
Yes. Until then, a moment later, which was very confusing for me, because then Cheetor runs in and reports that Scorponok and Black Arachnia are on the move, having left the Predacon base. And so I wonder, like, wait, was he also spying on the Predacon base? And if so, shouldn't it have taken him much longer to run from the Predacon base to the Axelon than it would have taken Airazor to fly there? Or do they just also have a spy camera set up somewhere that he was watching? Maybe it's just more indication that their bases are, as we've suspected, just basically like around the corner from each other.
Oh yeah, on opposite ends of the horseshoe. You just go around and then you come back to like basically adjacent to where you started.
Yep. So they know that Scorponok and Black Arachnia are on the move. Back to that floating island. Tigatron is there. He's just musing about how much he feels at peace there. He passes by a rune, which to me it looked like they just basically took a few constellations and combined them all together. Like I feel like there's the Sagittarius Archer is in there and a couple other things.
All right, there got to be a lot of runes out here, Andy. They can't all be winners.
Yeah. No, I don't have a problem with it. It's just always cool to recognize, like, oh, I think I get where that came from. Anyway, this rune activates and it turns on a bunch of traps. There's a bunch of big rocks coming down. Tigatron evades most of them, but then he can't evade the last, so he shoots it to blow it up. His aim was just fine that time. He realizes that weapons fire activates that monument's giant laser beam, and I liked his line, "Very well, let me be a visitor and not an invader."
Yeah, I love that line too. That was pretty great.
Yeah. For all that he is not an amazing battle guy in this episode, overall pretty good Tigatron episode, this two-parter.
Yeah, but man, he just comes off as so lame in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. They could have had him hit them with a couple of glancing blows or something that didn't take them out, but still showed that he could hit something sometimes,
Yeah.
Alas. Black Arachnia and Scorponok reach the island. Scorponok sends out one of his cyber bees to scout it out. He kind of streams its visual feed, and I felt like the cyber bee might have clearer vision than Scorponok himself does, because back in the probe, we saw his POV, and it was 90s security camera quality video, complete with scan lines and everything. Whereas the Cyber Bee kind of sees in Sega CD quality graphics. So I can't tell, neither is great, but...
Okay, well, here's how I justify it. He clearly needed to get bifocals, but his insurance will only let him buy one pair of glasses a year, and he already got his. So he can't wait till next year where he can get a pair of bifocals that'll be covered. So for this year, he invents a Cyber V for all the farsighted stuff.
No, that makes sense. That would be funny to learn that single visor eye that he has is actually prescription glasses, and he takes them off and he's got two regular robot eyes underneath.
That would be awesome.
They're scoping things out, but then the Cyber Bee gets snagged by Tigatron. Airazor has now followed them into the island, but then is shot down by Scorponok. I assume that while we, the audience, are seeing Airazor getting hit by that missile, off camera, Scorponok was saying, "The missile!"
He's clapping.
Yeah.
Look! The missile!
Black Arachnia immediately makes the connection between the monument's giant laser and their own weapons fire. And then she says that they must take control of it. So she's immediately just decided, never mind. I don't need to figure out what's up with this island. I'll just take control of it. So along with Megatron's whispers to Scorponok, this is the first hint that Black Arachnia has got her own agenda since she went missing at the end of Double Jeopardy 8 episodes ago. Since then, we've seen that she's not a toady to Megatron the way Scorponok is, but we haven't seen her truly wanting to go off and do her own thing in the way that we now do.
Oh, yeah. She reveals a lot about herself and her intentions in these couple of episodes. Completely agreed.
Yeah. So it turns out Tigatron has reprogrammed the Cyber Bee and sent it to the Maximals to relay a message. Cheetor says he didn't shoot it because it was carrying one of Airazor's feathers. But it turns out he actually did shoot at it and just missed. So I guess Cheetor probably used up all of his awesome in the last episode, the spark. And now he's back to his maybe typical level of competence.
Yeah, it really was funny, though. I thought that was a really funny joke.
Yeah, the timing worked. His body language of that too, as he slumps his shoulders and looks down. Yeah, it did work well. And Optimus' understated Prime. They activate the Cyber Bee. It contains a message from Tigatron, bringing them all up to speed on the situation. and warns them that if the Predacons gain control of the island, they'll destroy the Axelon and win the Beast Wars. To be continued.
No.
Which I feel like that really highlighted that it's a kids' show. You'd think they'll kill us all would be enough, but no. They'll win. You see, the scariest part is that they'll win and we'll lose.
Mm-hmm. And then in the off season, they'll break the whole team apart. The general manager might get fired. They'll have to replace the quarterback and the wide receivers, and you can't let them win, Andy.
Yeah, if you've got a star quarterback, they might demand that the manager who doesn't like them gets fired, and then maybe they'll go to another team themselves anyway.
Wow. Deep cut. Well done, Andy.
Well, I know a couple of things. I know a little bit about the Eagles, and I know to dislike Tom Brady. Other than that, I leave all the sports to you.
So I actually do have a couple of points to make about the episode. The tower on the island really reminded me of the Eye of Sauron.
Yes, yeah.
It's like it's supposed to be a land of peace, but then it's also supposed to be the most evil place in the world.
Yeah.
Tigatron walks to the one spot on the island where there are 6 of those traps all converging on the same spot. And I just thought, from like an efficiency standpoint, when they set these up, don't you think they would have tried to get as much bang for their buck and have each one target a different spot? Because, you know, they're trying to cover as much ground as possible.
I guess these aliens just don't mind overkill. You know, they had the budget for an enormous floating island. I guess they had the budget for just as many traps as they wanted. If they wanted a lot of ground covered, they would have just put in 6 times as many traps.
They spare no expense.
Yes.
That is absolutely true. I really thought it was entertaining when Air Razor said Black Arachnia seems to have lassoed a cloud, and she seems to have succeeded.
Yes, yeah.
The shot where the Cyber Bee crashes into Tigatron and then you see him growl and then it goes offline. For a second, I thought he ate the Cyber Bee, and I thought that was really cool.
And the next time we were going to see Tigatron, his mouth would have been all puffy from the bee stings.
But this is still a land of peace.
I just wanted to get some delicious cyber honey.
I really enjoyed the Blair Witch Project style video that Tigatron films and just tries to send back to the Axelon. If you can hear me, I am so scared right now.
Yeah, that was... I feel like often shows will... Or at least like sometimes on Star Trek, they'll play security footage and it will just be what the actual like show cameras caught or whatever. And I guess you assume, all right, I guess the security cameras can change camera angles because it's just invisible sensors everywhere or something. So I did really appreciate them sticking with the conceit of the Cyber Bee was the camera, so he has to move it around. You don't just see it cut from one to the next. You see Tigatron moving it around. Yeah, I did like that.
That's a good point. I think you made this point before. There were actually a lot of cool camera angles and shots and pans in this episode.
Yeah, there were some, but also sometimes they didn't always serve toward telling the story. Like sometimes it's a cool thing to do a cool thing. Like that zoom in on Tigatron's eye while he's shooting. Usually you don't do a shot like that unless it's setting up an awesome moment, you know? Yeah, which I think does sometimes just go back to some of the directors on Beast Wars were mainframe animators. And so I think it makes sense that they would want to do a lot of cool stuff, but that's not always the same skill set as knowing how to put the angles together in the way that best tells the story. Not to crap on any of the directors because they still made good episodes of television, which is more than I've done.
Yeah, I agree. I just wish they had paid off a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because they were good shots.
Yeah.
One shot in particular, you know, when Optimus says that we have to contemplate the possibility that Tigatron has been destroyed, they cut to a shot from the point of view of the speaker in the Axelon and all of the Maximals leaning in and gasping.
Yeah.
He's dead. That was an adorable shot of all of their heads, like just clustered around the speaker. Oh my God. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
And one other thing, Optimus gets up to the north and he sees that the relay's been destroyed and Tigatron is nowhere to be found. And he contacts the Axelon. I pulled a U here. I pulled an Andy. I was just like, wait a second. If the relay's been destroyed, how did he contact the Axelon?
I didn't even think about this. But yeah, you're right. Like, wait a minute. He's at the site of a destroyed communication terminal, which only exists because it's needed to contact.
So that's funny. You noticed some of the Beast Wars bingo moments, and I got that one, Andy, what if?
Yeah, let's pretend the technology should make sense, yeah.
Okay, so let us go to Beast Wars bingo. Bullet Train. We have Tigatron, the bullet train away from the exploding pterosaur missile. And you also mentioned another one. There was a slow-mo jump away from the array where he was trying to dodge other fire.
Yeah.
Hanging precariously. There was one major Tigatron hanging precariously moment where he's clearly just hanging by one hand over an abyss. And then there are several other hanging precariously dick tease moments where Tigatron is like half, on the slope about to fall off, half not. It's like he's laying on his back. Is he about to slide off or is he just getting ready to shoot back? There's just a lot of scared facial expressions of him panning in. Are we panning in because he's hanging precariously? I don't know.
Hey, have things been all right at home, Phil? Has your fiance been refusing to hang precariously for you?
It's funny. My fiance did have some feedback about this episode. I had to pause the episode and talk about Black Arachnia.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, you can imagine how that conversation went. So we paused the episode. It's a shot of Black Arachnia in all of her glory in the Predacon ship. And she was just asking, so, what are the capabilities that these robots need to have in their robot modes? Particularly their nursing capabilities. Why does she need to have such big breasts? And what's the functionality behind those? Also, she shouldn't have boobs. You know why? She's an arachnid.
Not wrong.
She is not wrong, and I had no good answers for her. All I could say was, it was the 90s.
In our last episode, The Spark, we did get into a bit of a conversation about how the male-coded Transformers are allowed to have a broader array of body types than the female Transformers. And we acknowledged it. We don't have a solution for it, but after that episode dropped, I received my ally card in the mail. So I'm officially an ally. You're never allowed to criticize me for anything now, because I said one kind of conscious thing.
Well, good job. You can't spell ally without A and Y. I wish I could have worked N and D in there too, but I don't know if the word allows for that. Okay, let me finish up these Beast Wars bingos. Animal looking to the sky. I did not see any animal looking to the sky in the specific way that we talk about. Optimus body horror moment. There were none. Inconsistent weapon power. There were a lot of moments where you could nitpick, but I didn't see an obvious one.
Yeah.
And stolen catchphrase, what's new, pussycat?
Yeah. I don't remember if that ever gets said again, but if it does, maybe it'll just be a shared catchphrase for anyone when they're talking to Cheetor or Tigatron.
And now the moment you've been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Maximize versus terrorize. How many times was maximize said?
Ooh, I feel like not. I'm going to guess just twice.
As far as I could tell, and I had to watch the episode a couple of times, it's only said once by Tigatron.
Oh, really? So Optimus, when he says Prime Jet's on, he doesn't have to maximize first. He's already in robot mode. Yeah, they're all hanging around in robot mode in the base, except for Dinobot for some reason.
Yeah, he looks adorable in the base in raptor form. Maybe that's why. As far as terrorize, how many times was that said?
I will guess... I'm going to guess 3 times.
Terrorize was also only said one time.
Oh, really? Huh, who was that?
It was Black Arachnia towards the beginning of the episode.